I see Mr. Richard Coyle will go with him next, and he is the president of Divine International.
The company's called Divine Intermodal. Good morning.
Intermodal, excuse me.
No problem. Richard Coyle, President, Divine Intermodal. We are a trucking company domiciled here in the Central Valley. We have terminals here in Fresno, Lathrop, Sacramento, and also Reno, Nevada. And it's appropriate that I follow Mr. Benjamin here because we really are partners. We're the trucks that connect the Central Valley to his port. And that's what really brings me here today. Almost every imaginable large food processor is here in California's Central Valley. And our job, my job, is to shuttle California's export products to the port. Certainly we feed the US, but this valley feeds the world. And in an environment where we're trying to promote exports nationally, we need access to our ports, improved access. We can't get the products out of the country if we can't get them out of the valley. So the Port of Oakland has the misfortune of being at the confluence of some of the busiest freeways in the country, located right next to, adjacent to the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. And the hours of operation are from 8 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, forcing our trucks directly into rush hour commuter traffic where trucks don't want to be. So improved access to the ports and possibly federal assistance in expanding the hours of operation of our ports so that our trucks don't have to compete with commuter traffic.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Rod Durden. And he's with the Manetta Institute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said that better than I learned to say it until I was about 15 years old. Let me give an introductory comment and note that I'll be speaking on two different subjects, and I'll do that in about a minute and a half. First, I'm a past member of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, and for 20 years chaired the Transit Board there, and I've also been the member of the High Speed Rail Authority Board and past chair, and have also chaired the National High Speed Rail Program for the American Public Transit Association. So I bring that background to bear today. I'll speak on the University Transportation Centers program. I've also chaired the National Council of University Transportation Centers for several years, and we'll speak on the High Speed Rail program. First, the University Transportation Centers programs is the front door to the transportation industry. If you don't know where you're going because you haven't done the research and you haven't trained the people to guide you once you have decided where you want to go, then you're not going to get there. So we need to have that University Transportation Center program in Title III retained and strengthened. And in order to do that, I think in terms of the strengthening side, and you cautioned us to make sure that we offered solutions, make sure that you task the Research and Innovative Technology Administration and USDOT with the responsibility of doing annual site visits, with the responsibility of making sure that we don't do redundant research or education programs unless those are planned redundancies. Sometimes it's good to research the same subject to get different perspectives, but usually it's better to have different perspectives, and that lack of redundancy and confirmation of high performance needs to be done by the policing authority at the national level, and that's the USDOT, Research and Innovative Technology Administration. In addition to that, you have often talked about competition, Mr. Chairman. I'll leave that up to the committee. Sometimes that competition is very good. It's served well in terms of selection of regional centers and Tier 1 centers. It's more difficult to do when you're starting centers in terms of the Tier 2 centers because they don't have any background. They can't compete very effectively. And so I'll leave that to the committee. Let me skip now, and I do have printed statements which I'll submit for the record to the high-speed rail programs. The American Public Transit Association's High-Speed Intercity Rail Committee of over 300 stakeholders. These are industry and corridor representatives are adamantly in favor of seeing the high-speed rail programs go into a national 13-corridor system as presented by the President and often talked about by the congressional leaders. That 13-quarter system is divided into two different kinds of systems. The incremental upgrade systems at 120 miles an hour operating on freight tracks, and the true high-speed rail systems, the 5 quarters that are the 200-mile-an-hour plus systems that make the backbone of the future high-speed rail program for the nation. California is a good example of the latter, 800-mile long, 220-mile-an-hour system creating 160,000 construction jobs, some of those lasting 30 years, 450,000 local serving jobs that will be stimulated by the 26 station locations. And we are looking forward to proceeding with the starter construction project, which has been identified now and approved by both the local jurisdictions as well as the Federal Railroad Administration between Bakersfield and Fresno. Congratulations again to Mr. Denham and to your great advocates from Fresno, Mayor Swearingen, who has been a great leader, and others in the room who have been great leaders in terms of making sure that local first construction project was from Bakersfield to Fresno. We're looking forward to, the High-Speed Rail Authority is looking forward to extending that project quickly into Los Angeles Basin from the south and into the Silicon Valley, Santa Clara County, and Bay Area, 6.5 million people into the north. We know that to do that is going to cost a lot of money. You may want to look at the example that California has presented to you and that we've adopted. The people of the state of California have approved $9.95 billion to prime the pump for our high-speed rail program. That's bond money in the bank. In the state of California, we can draw on that bond money when we need to, and we'll use that as matching funds so that your dollars from the national level go much further in California. In addition, the California law requires that it be a public-private partnership. We cannot just use tax dollars in building the California system. It has to be a public-private partnership. We would expect to see a significant portion of the California project, the $43 billion starter element for California, to be investments from private sources, whether they be a country like England or China or Germany or France or whatever, or a corporation. We don't care as long as it spins green. And we'll look forward to having those funds come into the state of California and through the state of California as a model into the nation to help us build our system. I think I'd prefer to yield now and answer any questions that might come.
Thank you, and we'll go next to Mr. Berkman Gifflin, who's with lead us.